Hello everyone, welcome back to 100 Days of Coding with Derrick-Redeemer. This is day 21 of our coding journey. First of all, congratulations. You have successfully completed the HTML forms module. From today, we will continue learning more HTML elements that help us build professional websites. Today's topic is one of the most important HTML elements you will ever learn. That's the div element, the div element. You may not realize it yet, but almost every website on the internet uses it to organize or its content. So let's get started. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain what a div element is, create a div element, group multiple HTML elements inside a div, explain why developers use div elements, build a simple web page using multiple div elements. In the last video, this is what we did. We created a label or the form, complete form. This one here. We created everything. So we created the field, the text area, this one to the password field, sorry, the email field and the password field. Then we also created the radio button. We created the checkboxes. We also created drop down menu. We created the text area, and we also created the submit button. Okay. So before we start, imagine you are moving into a new house. Instead of throwing all your belongings into one room, you organize them. You keep your clothes in the wardrobe. Your books go on the bookshelf. Your plates stay in the kitchen. Everything has its own place. This makes the house neat and easy to manage. A div element. So a div element. A div element. This one here. This particular one here. Alright. That's the same thing on the web page. It helps us organize different parts of our web page. What is a div element? What I've typed in the workspace on the code editor, what is it? The word div means division. So if you see the div, it simply means what? Division. A div is simply a container that groups other HTML elements together. It doesn't add color. It doesn't change fonts. It doesn't make text bigger. Its main purpose is to organize your web page into sections. Later, when we learn CSS, you will discover why developers love using div elements. Alright, so the syntax, we already know the syntax. This is the syntax here. So the div has what? An opening tag and a closing tag. This is the opening tag for the div. The first one here is the opening tag for the div, and the second one here is the closing tag for the div. Anything placed between these tags belongs to that div. So for example, I can create something like this. So this is my div. So something like this. So let's say H1. So the H1, let's say welcome to my website. The H1 is closed, and let's say paragraph. This is my first page. So paragraph. This is my first page. So my first web page. Then you close out your div here. So when you open with a live server, so let's open with a live server to see. So this one here, this one. Alright, you may not see the effect now. So in this example, both the heading and the paragraph belong to the same div. Both this one, the paragraph and the heading. So the heading and the paragraph belongs to what? The div. Why do we use div? Imagine building a web page that contains a header, a navigation menu, main content, sidebar, footer. Without a div or without a div elements, your HTML code will become difficult to organize. Instead, we create separate containers for each section. This makes our code cleaner and easier to understand. Think about your school. Your school has different classrooms. Each classroom has its own purpose. One classroom is for mathematics, another is for English, another is for science. Although they are all inside the same school, each classroom is separate. A div works in exactly the same way. It creates separate sections on your web page. So sometimes you can have multiple divs. You can have multiple divs. So instead of this one, I can also have another one again, another div. So another division. Then let's say about me. So this one is H1. So H1 about me. Then the paragraph, let's say I am learning HTML. So I'm learning HTML. Let's say that way. So I am learning HTML. Yeah. So this one, we can have multiple divs. So let's say I'll need to have, let's say, my hobbies as well. So div my hobbies. Div, that's H2. So let's say H2. The A2 here, let's say my hobbies. So my hobbies. So let's try to create a list. So another list here. So UL. Let's say the list item. Here. Let's say coding. My hobbies. That's coding. Then we come to what? Let's say the next one is reading. Reading. The next one is football. Let's say football. Yes. Football. If I open my web browser again, I'll see the same thing here. Let me refresh the website. So this is here. Go. This is here. This particular one. Now our web page has 3 separate sections. Each section is organized inside its own div. So this one has its own div. This one also has its own div. This one also has its own div. Alright. So can a div contain other elements? Someone might ask that question. Absolutely. A div can contain almost any HTML elements you will learn so far. For example, headings, paragraphs, images, links, lists, tables, forms. Think of it as a box that can hold different items. So here we have what? A nested divs. Div, you know that one. So did you know that one div can contain another div? So and then that's what a nested div. So this particular one here. So let's say we want to create something here. We'll have what? We'll have a div again. So div. So we have div. I want to create a different one again. I want to write different code so that you get understanding clearly. So the div, I'll have HTML. So the HTML. So H1. So let's say H1. My website. So my websites. Then we have what? A div again. So div. So div. So this div is a paragraph. Welcome to my homepage. So paragraph. So P. Welcome to my webpage, my homepage. Welcome to my homepage. Then we have what? So this is what we call the nested div. You can see that this one is in what? In that div, or is in what? In this div here. This particular div. Sorry, this particular div here. Hope you can see. All right. So if you open the web browser, you will see what? Nothing there. It's just the same thing, but just that we have what? Different sections. All right. This is called a nesting. We will use nested div element a lot when we start learning CSS layout. So here you are going to create. So you are going to create a mini project here. You're going to create a mini project. Let's build a simple web page. So let me clear this one from here. So let's say day 21.html. So here you are going to create a div. You are going to use div to create everything here. So the div. So here, let's say the A, that's Derrick's portfolio. So that's the H1. So the H1. So Derrick's portfolio. Derrick's portfolio. All right. Then we have, let's say we have another div again. Another div. So that's what the H2 about me. So H2. So let's say H2 about me. H2 about me. Then let's say we have a paragraph. That's P. So a paragraph. So paragraph. Let's say I am learning HTML and web development. So I am learning and web development. So development. Then we close that div here. This particular div here. Then we go to what? Another div. So let's say my skills. So another div. So another div. So in this div, we are going to create what? My skills. Let's say H2. So I'm going to create H2 here. That's what? My skills. Then in the skills, I'm going to create what? A UL, unordered list. So UL. So in the UL, I'm going to create HTML and so on. JavaScript. So list. So li HTML. Then we have a CSS as well. So then you have another list again. So another list like CSS. So CSS. Then we have another list. So in this list, we have JavaScripts. Alright. Then this div, we close this div here. Let's create another div again. So another div. So this div, let's create what? H2, that's contact. So H2 contacts. Paragraph. Let's say paragraph here. Let's say email. Then Derrick-Redeemer 156 at gmail.com. So gmail.com. Alright. This is now what divided into clear sections. So this one that we have here, it is divided into a clear section. We have the section 1. We have the first section here, and then we have the second section, we have the third section, and then we have the last section as well. So if I open with the live server, I will still see the same thing as we were saying in the previous video. So this one here, I have the first section, this one, the first section here, then the second section, then I have the third section, then I have the last section here. All right. So imagine putting your clothes, food bowls, shoes, and toiletries into one small bag without arranging them. Finding anything would be difficult. Using div element is like packing your items into separate bags. Everything becomes neat and easy to find. Now let's look at some common mistakes you make. Forgetting to close the div tag. You sometimes forget what to close the div tags. Always remember to close the tags for the division. So you sometimes think a div changes the appearance of a web page. It doesn't. It simply groups elements together. CSS is what changes the appearance. Mistake 3. Putting everything inside one huge div. Instead, divide your web page into logical sections. Now you're going to create a mini 4 sections. That's a header, about me, my skills, and then contacts. Each section should be inside its own div. Run your code in the browser and observe how your HTML is organized. Today we learned what a div element is, the purpose of a div, how to create a div, multiple div elements, nested div elements, why developers use div in almost every website. Before we end today's lesson, I have some exciting news. I've created a WhatsApp learning group for everyone following this 100 Days of Coding series. If you have questions, need help with an exercise, or want to interact with other learners, this group is for you. You can ask questions, share your progress, help others learn, and I will also be there to guide you whenever I can. I will leave the WhatsApp group link in the video description and also pin it in the comment section, so be sure to join us. Remember, learning is even better when we learn together. Excellent work. Today, you have learned about the div element, one of the most important building blocks of modern web development. Although it doesn't change the appearance of a web page by itself, it helps developers organize content into meaningful sections, making websites easier to build and maintain. In our next lesson, that's day 22, we will learn about the span element, that's the SPAN, and see how it differs from the div element. Thank you for joining day 21 of 100 Days of Coding with Derrick-Redeemer. Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep coding. I'll see you in day 22. Happy coding.